If we are going to win, then Christ has to help us. If we're going to save our countries, then it's going to be because God has saved us. And we must not piss God off. If we want God to help us, we are definitely going to need to return to the God of our ancestors, to the God that gave us our countries, to the God that created the whole world. That's the only hope. That's the only hope that we have of restoring any type of sustainable life in our country, in our communities, in our culture. But as our cultures continue to disintegrate, many are pointing to Christianity as the source of the disintegration, the source of the poison that is killing our civilization. This has been going on for a long time. Nietzsche famously pointed at Christian honesty and meekness as the source of our current evils. And here, Catgirl Kulak is doing the same thing in response to this absolutely atrocious story where a woman forgave the man who killed her mother and even visited him in prison. After his release, she offered him a job at the same house where he killed her mother. He ended up killing her in the same house. Horrific story. Horrific story. But then look at Catgirl Kulak's response. Christian forgiveness is the most poisonous evil ever released upon Europeans. This original news article never mentions Christianity and just says the woman forgave the man, but already we know why she has forgiven this man. This is a white woman. She's a European woman. She's a Christian woman. Everybody associates white people with Christianity, and we associate forgiveness with Christianity. And that's a good thing, because forgiveness is a good thing. But in this story, we obviously see forgiveness gone wrong. And I don't really blame people for calling that Christian forgiveness. Because maybe in this story, if we looked into who this woman was and why she forgave this man, it may be because of her Christianity. But this is Christianity gone wrong. This is Christianity run amok. This is not true Christianity. It is not true what Catgirl Kulak says, which is taken to its logical conclusion is simply the wish that white people die forgiving their killers just as Christ did. One of the problems we have in modern Christianity is that we are very good with the death of Christ. We know that Christ died forgiving his killers, which is true, but we often forget or we don't believe in the resurrection of Christ, that Christ came back to life as the conquering God of the universe. We see this with the debate about Christian nationalism, where pastors will say, there can be no such thing as a Christian nation because Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. Yes, he did, but that was the Jesus to Pontius Pilate before he died. After he died, what did Jesus say? The same Jesus said, all authority on earth, in heaven and on earth, all authority has been given to me. All authority has been given to me. He didn't say, oh, you can't have a Christian nation because, I'm not from here. No, he said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Christ is king of everything. He is not just the man who was abused and unjustly murdered and then he forgave his killers. He is also the man who raised from the dead as the exalted God of everything. This story is not Christian forgiveness. Christian forgiveness and meekness is not just continually dying for no reason. Yes, there is martyrdom in Christian theology. You may be asked to be martyred for your faith. And yes, we know that ultimately we are not hoping for eternal pleasure and eternal joy and eternal things in this finite and fallen world. We are looking forward into the future to the hope that is to come. Our hope ultimately is not in hedonistic YOLO, do as much as you can, eat, drink, for tomorrow we die. No. we do look forward with faith to the spiritual reality that Christ is going to come back and there is going to be a resurrection of the dead, and we will be with God forever on that final day when Jesus will come to judge the living and the dead. But that's actually kind of irrelevant to this conversation, because this conversation is, how do you deal with this man who killed your mother? Should you forgive him? Yes. Should you invite him back into your home and allow him to kill you? No. No, you should not. What good does that do? Does that further the kingdom to needlessly throw our lives away? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, evangelicalism and modern Christianity has often done just that. So there is actually a good reason for people to be sneering at Christian forgiveness, because poor teaching has led many Christians to just throw away their life, doing very silly things, not because the Holy Spirit has led them, but because Christian culture has led them to do such things. We should not really be doing many of the things we are doing right now, but this video isn't really getting into that. I just wanted to say, if we are going to save our nation, we will need God. But we will not save our nation if we cannot explain to people why it is not Christian to give away our lives, to lay down our nation, to just let murderers and rapists come in and destroy us. It is not a Christian thing that is doing this. It is a liberal, postmodern, post-Christian idea to just say, come in and do whatever you want. Christians have never lived like this in the past. But it is a Christian perversion, a Christian heresy that has led to modern liberal progressivism. And we need to return to true Christian forgiveness, which says something very simple. It says, I forgive you, but you're not allowed to do it anymore. That's reasonable. Forgiveness does not dismiss justice. You can tell someone, I forgive you, but you're not allowed to do it anymore. In fact, if you've done something, I forgive you, but you will still face justice. You will still face justice. If someone has killed someone, as this man who killed this woman's mother, he deserves the death penalty. Genesis 9:6, God says, if someone sheds man's blood, then by man his blood will be shed. It is abandoning the Christian worldview that allowed this man to live on to kill another. The Christian worldview says capital punishment for murder and for rape. A true Christian would say, I forgive you and I will execute you. That is Christian forgiveness. Christian forgiveness does not mean, oh, I forgive you and you can continue killing me. No. When we have a Christian nation, we will actually be firmer on punishment than we are right now. The modern softness is not Christian by any means.